First contact in the void. The quantum sensors aboard the ESS Hawking weren't designed to detect screams. Dr. Sarah Chen knew this as she stared at the anomalous readings flooding her holographic display, yet she couldn't shake the feeling that she was hearing something. Not with her ears, but with the fabric of space-time itself. "Captain Morrison," she called out, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "I think you need to see this." The research vessel's captain, a veteran of deep space exploration, with more gray than black in her hair, moved across the bridge with practiced ease. Even after 15 years of studying quantum anomalies at the edge of known space, Captain Elena Morrison had never lost her scientist's curiosity. "Talk to me, Dr. Chen," she said, leaning over Sarah's station. The holographic display cast a pale blue glow across both their faces, the quantum signatures dancing like desperate fireflies. "At first, I thought it was just another quantum echo, like the ones we've been studying. But look at this pattern." Sarah's fingers traced through the hologram, isolating a specific frequency. "It's structured. These aren't random fluctuations in the quantum field. This is a message." Captain Morrison's eyes narrowed. "A message? Out here? We're 30 light years beyond the furthest human outpost." "That's not all," Sarah continued, her excitement building. "The quantum signature suggests technology far beyond anything humanity has achieved. Whoever sent this, they're manipulating space-time at a fundamental level." Before Morrison could respond, the ship's AI, Araya, interrupted. "Captain, I've completed my analysis of the signal. Dr. Chen is correct. The message appears to be encoded in quantum entangled particles. With your permission, I can attempt to decode it." Morrison straightened, tugging at her uniform jacket, a habit she'd never shed from her early military days. "Do it, Araya. But maintain our quantum shields at maximum. We don't know what we're dealing with yet." The bridge fell silent as Araya worked, the only sound the soft hum of the ship's systems. Sarah found herself holding her breath, her heart pounding against her ribs. After 3 years aboard the Hawking, studying the quantum phenomena that lurked in the spaces between stars, this was the moment she'd been waiting for. The holographic display flickered, and then transformed. The quantum signatures resolved into something else entirely, a 3-dimensional image that filled the air above Sarah's station. It showed a crystalline structure, beautiful and alien, its surface refracting light in impossible ways. And it was speaking. "We are the Mirians." The voice came through the ship's speakers, somehow both musical and desperate. "Our civilization stands at the edge of extinction. To any who receive this message, we beg for aid against the entropy wave." The image shifted, showing a vast dark mass moving through space, consuming everything in its path. Stars dimmed as it passed, planets crumbled, and the very fabric of space-time seemed to warp and tear. "It feeds on energy itself," the message continued. "Our attempts to stop it have failed. Our greatest achievements, our mastery of quantum engineering, have only made us a more attractive target. We have days, perhaps hours, before our last colonies fall. If anyone receives this message, please, help us preserve what remains of our knowledge, our culture, our people." The message ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Sarah's mind raced with implications. The technology required to send such a message, encoded in quantum-entangled particles, it suggested a civilization thousands, perhaps millions of years ahead of humanity. Captain Morrison was the first to speak. "Araya, full sensor sweep of the region. Look for any signs of this entropy wave. Dr. Chen, I want everything you can tell me about that quantum signature. Where did it come from? How long ago was it sent?" "Captain." Araya's voice held an unusual note of urgency. "I'm detecting massive quantum disturbances approximately 3 light years from our position. The readings matched the phenomenon shown in the Mirian message." Morrison's jaw tightened. "Show me." The main view screen came to life, showing a real-time quantum map of nearby space. There, exactly as the message had shown, was a vast dark mass. It moved unlike anything natural, with purpose and intelligence, consuming the quantum energy of space itself as it advanced. "It's real," Sarah whispered. "They're really out there, and they're really dying." Morrison walked to the center of the bridge, her footsteps echoing in the silence. When she spoke, her voice was firm with decision. "ARIA, send an emergency transmission to Earth Command. Encode everything we've received. Then set a course for the quantum disturbance." "Captain." Sarah turned in her chair. "We're going to help them." Morrison's lips curved in a slight smile. "Doctor, humanity has spent centuries looking up at the stars, wondering if we were alone. Now we found not just evidence of alien life, but an advanced civilization in need of help. What kind of humans would we be if we turned our backs on them?" The captain turned to address the entire bridge crew. "I know we're just a research vessel. We're not equipped for combat or rescue operations. But we're here, we're capable, and we're probably the only hope these people have right now. If anyone has objections, speak now." The bridge remained silent, each crew member's face showing the same mix of fear and determination. They had all joined deep space exploration for moments like this, to make discoveries, to push boundaries, to find the unknown. They just hadn't expected the unknown to need their help. "ARIA." Morrison commanded, "Maximum safe speed to the coordinates. Dr. Chen, see if you can establish two-way communication with the Mirians. We need to let them know help is coming." As the ESS Hawking's engines powered up, Sarah turned back to her station, her fingers flying over the controls. The quantum signatures still danced across her display, but now they seemed different. Not just data points to be studied, but a lifeline to a dying civilization. The ship accelerated into the void, carrying its human crew toward an encounter that would change the course of two civilizations forever. Behind them, their message raced toward Earth at quantum speeds, bearing news of humanity's first contact and the terrible choice that came with it. In her quarters that night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She stood at her viewport, watching the distorted starfield of FTL travel, and thought about the Mirians, a species that had mastered the quantum realm, now facing extinction. What could humanity, barely out of its cosmic cradle, possibly do to help them? But then she remembered something her grandmother used to say, back in the early days of human space exploration. "The universe is vast and dark, child. That's why we must be lights for each other." Perhaps that was all humanity needed to be right now, a light in the darkness, a hand reaching out across the cosmic void to say, "You are not alone." The ESS Hawking raced on through space, carrying its crew toward an encounter that would test not just their courage and resourcefulness, but their very understanding of what it meant to be human in a universe full of wonders and terrors beyond imagination. And somewhere ahead, in the quantum silence of deep space, the Mirians waited, their crystalline cities gleaming with the last light of a civilization that refused to die alone. The price of knowledge. The Mirian archive chamber took Sarah's breath away. Crystalline columns stretched toward a ceiling that seemed to catch and amplify the dim light of dying stars, while quantum information streams danced through the air like aurora borealis. But it wasn't the architecture that made her hands tremble. It was what the chamber represented. The accumulated knowledge of a civilization millions of years older than humanity. "Our ancestors built this chamber when they first learned to manipulate quantum fields," said Lazara, her crystalline form shifting colors as she spoke. The Mirian ambassador's voice carried both pride and sorrow. "We never imagined it would become our civilization's tomb." 3 days had passed since the ESS Hawking made first contact with the Mirians. In that time, 5 more human ships had arrived, 3 research vessels, and 2 military cruisers, the fastest response Earth Command could muster on such short notice. But as Sarah stood in the archive chamber, watching the quantum data streams pulse with ancient knowledge, she wondered if it would be enough. Captain Morrison stepped forward, her reflection fragmenting across the crystalline surfaces. Ambassador, we need to understand exactly what we're facing. You said the entropy wave is attracted to advanced quantum technology. But there's more to it than that, isn't there? Lizara's form dimmed slightly, a sign Sarah had learned indicated deep distress among the Mirians. Yes, what I must show you. It may change how you view your place in the universe. Are you prepared for that? Before Morrison could respond, the chamber's quantum streams coalesced into a three-dimensional image of the galaxy. Specific points of light pulsed with different colors, forming a pattern that Sarah's scientific mind immediately recognized. These are civilizations, she breathed. Advanced ones, spread across the galaxy. But they're all gone now, aren't they? Yes, Lizara confirmed. Each light represents a species that reached what we call the quantum threshold, the point at which they gained true mastery over space-time itself. And each one was visited by the entropy wave shortly after achieving this mastery. The image shifted, showing the wave's path across the galaxy over millions of years. It wasn't random. It moved with purpose, seeking out civilizations that reached a certain level of technological advancement. It's not a natural phenomenon, Morrison said, her voice tight. It's a weapon. Correct, Captain. Lizara's crystalline form pulsed with deep blue hues. We believe it was created by an ancient race, one that feared what younger civilizations might become once they gained control over the fundamental forces of the universe. The entropy wave doesn't just destroy. It specifically targets and eliminates quantum technology and the knowledge required to create it. Sarah's mind raced with implications. But humanity, we're nowhere near the quantum threshold. We're just beginning to understand quantum engineering. Why help us? Why share this knowledge when it might make us a target too? The chamber darkened, and new images appeared, simulations showing possible futures. In one, humanity continued its slow progression toward quantum mastery. In another, with Mirian knowledge, they leaped forward centuries, or even millennia in development. Because we believe you might be different, Lizara said. In all our studies of younger races, we've never encountered one quite like humanity. You are unpredictable. You think in ways we do not. That's a diplomatic way of saying we're primitive, Morrison noted dryly. No, Lizara's form brightened. It means you might see solutions we cannot. Our civilization achieved perfection in quantum engineering, but that very perfection may have blinded us to alternatives. You humans, you still know how to improvise. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's alerts flashed red. A new hologram appeared, showing the entropy wave's approach to the Mirian system. It had accelerated, covering distance faster than any previous measurements suggested possible. It knows we're here, Lizara said, her voice carrying a tremor Sarah had never heard before. It knows we're trying to preserve our knowledge. We have less time than we thought. Morrison straightened, her military training taking over. How long? Hours, perhaps. No more than a day. Then we need to evacuate your people now, Morrison declared. The human ships can. No, Lizara interrupted. Our population is too large, our forms too dependent on our quantum technology. We cannot survive long outside our systems, but our knowledge, that we can save, that we must save. Sarah stepped closer to the quantum streams, watching the data flow. You want us to take your quantum archives, but won't that make us a target? Yes, Lizara admitted, which is why we give you a choice. You can take our knowledge, all of it, everything we've learned over millions of years about quantum engineering, space-time manipulation, the very fabric of reality itself. Or you can leave, return to Earth, and perhaps have centuries more before the entropy wave notices humanity's development. The chamber fell silent. Sarah looked at Captain Morrison, seeing the weight of the decision in the older woman's eyes. This wasn't just about saving the Mirians anymore. This was about choosing humanity's path forward. There's something else, Morrison said finally. Something you haven't told us yet. What happens if we take your knowledge and fail to stop the wave? What happens to Earth? Lizara's form shifted to deep purple, a color Sarah hadn't seen before. The wave would not stop at destroying your quantum technology. Earth itself would be transformed. The process we've observed on other worlds suggests total molecular destabilization. Your planet would be reduced to its constituent atoms. Sarah felt her knees weaken. The stakes weren't just about losing technology or knowledge. They were talking about the potential annihilation of humanity itself. Captain, Aria's voice came through their comms. Earth Command is requesting an immediate update. They're detecting quantum disturbances consistent with the wave's approach pattern near the Arcturus system. It's already closer to Earth than we thought. Morrison's face hardened. Then we don't have a choice, do we? The wave is coming whether we take the knowledge or not. At least this way we have a chance to fight it. There is one more thing you should know, Lizara said. The quantum archives contain more than just scientific knowledge. They contain the essence of our civilization, our history, our art, our consciousness patterns. Any human who interfaces with this knowledge risks being changed. The quantum data might alter your neural patterns, make you something more than human. Or something less, Sarah whispered. Morrison turned to Sarah. Dr. Chen, you're our quantum expert. This has to be your decision. Can we handle this knowledge? Should we try? As if in response to Morrison's words, the quantum streams in the chamber began to pulse more rapidly. Through the crystal walls, they could see more human ships arriving. A second wave of reinforcements from Earth. But beyond them, visible even at this distance, a darkness was growing between the stars. The race against extinction had begun. Humanity had chosen to stand with the Mirians, to face the entropy wave together. They had hours to prepare for a battle that would determine not just the fate of two civilizations, but perhaps the future of all intelligent life in the galaxy. Sarah walked to one of the crystal walls, placing her hand against its cool surface. The quantum data streams seemed to reach for her, as if eager to share their secrets. She knew that once they began the knowledge transfer, there would be no going back. Humanity would be irrevocably changed. But maybe that was the point. Maybe change, evolution, adaptation, transformation, was the only real defense against extinction. The entropy wave might be coming to destroy them, but it would find humanity and the Mirians ready to fight together, ready to become something new. Something that even ancient weapons of mass destruction hadn't counted on. A fusion of two civilizations, combining Mirian knowledge with human intuition, quantum perfection with human unpredictability. As the darkness between the stars grew closer, Sarah began the interface process with the quantum archives. The first streams of ancient knowledge flowed into human systems, beginning a transformation that would either save two civilizations or doom them both. The price of knowledge was high, but the cost of ignorance in the face of extinction would be even higher. The battle beyond physics. The human mind wasn't designed for this. Sarah gasped, her hands trembling as she pulled away from the quantum interface. Fragments of Mirian knowledge still flickered through her consciousness like digital afterimages, making ordinary reality seem flat and limited in comparison. Dr. James Rodriguez, the ESS Hawking's chief medical officer, steadied her with a practiced hand. Your neural patterns are still stable, but I'm detecting increased quantum entanglement in your frontal lobe. We should take a break. We don't have time for breaks, Sarah insisted, even as the room spun around her. Through the medical bay's viewport, she could see the massive form of the Earth defense vessel Artemis, taking position alongside 5 other heavy cruisers that had arrived in the past few hours. Beyond them, the darkness of the entropy wave crept closer, now visible to the naked eye, as a void that consumed even starlight. She's right, Captain Morrison's voice came from the doorway. The wave will reach the outer defense line in less than 2 hours. Tell me you found something in those archives, Dr. Chen. Sarah closed her eyes, trying to organize the vast amount of information now floating through her mind. The Mirian quantum archives weren't just data, they were living knowledge, patterns of thought, and understanding that rewrote human neural pathways to accommodate concepts that existed beyond normal spacetime. I think I understand why their defenses failed," she said slowly. The Marians approached the problem like quantum engineers, trying to counter the wave with precisely calculated energy fields. But the wave adapts. It's not just a weapon. It's almost alive. Alive? Morrison's eyebrows rose. The ambassador didn't mention that. Because they never saw it, Sarah struggled to put impossible concepts into human language. They were too perfect, too precise in their quantum engineering. They couldn't see the chaos patterns within the wave structure. But human brains are messy, imprecise, quantum noisy brains. We can see it. A new voice joined the conversation, crystalline and harmonic. "You speak truth that we could not see." Ambassador Lysara's form shimmered into existence, her crystalline structure refracting the medical base lights. "Already your mind processes our knowledge in ways we never considered. But can we use it?" Morrison asked the question they were all thinking. "Can we fight this thing?" Sarah stood, her balance returning as her mind adapted to its new quantum awareness. "Not by fighting it directly. But maybe we can teach it a new pattern." She walked to the main display, her fingers dancing through the holographic controls with new confidence. The screen filled with quantum equations that would have been meaningless to her a day ago, but now seemed as clear as basic arithmetic. "Look," she pointed to a particular pattern. "The wave doesn't just destroy quantum technology. It converts it, changes its fundamental pattern to something more acceptable to whoever created it. But what if we could introduce a new pattern? Something that combines Marian precision with human chaos." "You want to change the wave itself." Lysara's form pulsed with surprise. "Such a thing was never considered possible." "Because you never considered being imperfect," Sarah smiled. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our intelligence. It's our ability to embrace chaos, to find patterns in noise, to make mistakes, and learn from them." The ship's intercom crackled. "Captain to the bridge. The wave has accelerated. Time to intercept. 45 minutes. Morrison straightened. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it now." "Dr. Chen, what do you need?" Sarah's mind raced with possibilities, combining human intuition with Marian quantum engineering. "We need to reconfigure all ships' quantum shields, not to block the wave, but to sing to it. Every ship, every Marian crystal city, all resonating with a new pattern. Human music translated into quantum frequencies." "Music?" Morrison looked skeptical. "Trust me," Sarah's eyes gleamed with quantum knowledge. "The wave expects perfect quantum patterns. We'll give it jazz." The next 30 minutes were a blur of activity. Sarah worked with ARIA to translate classical human music, everything from Bach to bebop, into quantum frequencies. The Marian crystal cities began to pulse with new rhythms, their perfect harmonies deliberately disrupted with human improvisation. The human fleet spread out in a pattern that would have seemed random to the Marians' mathematical minds, but made perfect sense to Sarah's quantum-enhanced consciousness. Each ship's quantum shields were modified to emit specific frequencies, creating a vast, improvised concert in the language of spacetime itself. "Wave approaching final defense line," Araya announced. "Impact in 5 minutes." Sarah stood on the bridge of the ESS Hawking, her hands hovering over the quantum interface. Captain Morrison had given her direct control of the fleet's shield network, an unprecedented level of trust based on nothing but desperate hope and human intuition. "All ships, begin quantum resonance," Morrison ordered. "Follow Dr. Chen's pattern exactly." The void between the stars seemed to twist as the wave approached. Sarah could feel it now, not just see it. An ancient algorithm of destruction, searching for patterns it was programmed to eliminate. But this time, it would find something new. "Now," Sarah whispered, and pressed her hands into the interface. Human music, translated into quantum frequencies, erupted from every ship and crystal city. Bach's mathematical precision, layered with jazz's controlled chaos, classical structure breaking down into improvised solos, all of it speaking directly to the quantum fabric of space-time. The wave hit the first line of ships and hesitated. "It's working." Lazara's voice held wonder. "The wave, it's trying to understand the pattern." Sarah didn't respond, too focused on maintaining the quantum concert. She could feel the wave's confusion as it encountered something it had never seen before, perfection and chaos dancing together, mathematics and music speaking with one voice. "Second line of ships, increase resonance," she commanded. "Third line, shift to the counterpoint." The wave's darkness began to swirl with new colors as it tried to analyze and convert the unfamiliar patterns. But every time it thought it had grasped the structure, the human elements would shift and change, like a jazz musician improvising on a classical theme. "Energy readings are fluctuating," Araya reported. "The wave's coherence is dropping by 30%, 40%. Sarah felt something change in the quantum field. A shift so fundamental it made her gasp. The wave wasn't just failing to destroy their defenses, it was beginning to resonate with them. Its ancient programming encountering something its creators had never imagined, the possibility of evolution. "Look!" someone shouted, and Sarah opened her eyes to see the impossible. The darkness between the stars was transforming. Where there had been a void of destruction, now colors danced and swirled. The wave's rigid patterns began to flow like liquid music, its quantum structure reorganizing itself around this new understanding of what was possible. "It's not just stopping," Sarah realized. "It's changing. We're teaching it a new way to exist." The bridge crew watched in awe as the wave that had destroyed countless civilizations began to dance to human music. Its darkness transformed into light, its destructive purpose transmuting into something entirely new. But they weren't safe yet. Sarah could feel the wave's transformation sending ripples through space-time itself. The power required to change such an ancient and massive entity was straining their ship's quantum shields to their limits. Hull integrity failing on multiple ships, Araya warned. Crystal City resonance patterns becoming unstable. "Hold the pattern." Sarah gritted her teeth, pushing more power through the quantum network. "We're not just fighting for survival now. We're proving that change is possible, that destruction isn't the only answer to difference." The wave's transformation reached a crescendo, quantum energies cascading through space in patterns that combined Marian precision with human creativity. For a moment, Sarah felt connected to everything. Every ship, every crystal city, every mind human and Marian, all linked through the quantum dance they had created. Then, with a flash that temporarily blinded every sensor in the fleet, it was over. Where the wave had been, a new phenomenon hung in space, a quantum aurora that rippled with colors no human eye had seen before. The void that had threatened to destroy two civilizations had become something beautiful, something that celebrated the very diversity it had been programmed to eliminate. Sarah slumped in her chair, physically and mentally exhausted. Captain Morrison caught her before she could fall. "Dr. Chen." The captain's voice was soft with awe. "What exactly did we just do?" Sarah smiled weakly. "We taught an ancient weapon that perfection isn't the only form of beauty, that chaos and order can dance together, that evolution is better than extinction." Ambassador Lissara's form shimmered with colors that expressed emotions beyond human understanding. "You have done more than save our civilization, humans. You have shown us a new way to exist. Perhaps that is why the universe brought us together." As the human fleet regrouped and the Marian crystal cities stabilized, Sarah watched the quantum aurora dance across space. They had faced extinction and found transformation instead. But she knew this was just the beginning. Somewhere out there, the civilization that had created the wave still existed. And now, humanity and the Marians would face them together, armed with the knowledge that the greatest power in the universe wasn't perfection or destruction, but the ability to change, to grow, to find harmony in the dance between order and chaos. Echoes of tomorrow. The transformed entropy wave's quantum aurora had been beautiful, but what it revealed was terrifying. As Sarah studied the data streams in the ESS Hawking's quantum lab, her enhanced mind could see patterns that sent chills down her spine. The wave hadn't just been a weapon. It had been leaving messages, quantum echoes that had gone unnoticed for millions of years. "Captain," she called over the ship's comm. "I need you and Ambassador Lizara in the lab immediately." They arrived minutes later, Morrison looking concerned, and Lizara's crystalline form shifting with nervous energy. The quantum aurora outside cast ever-changing colors through the lab's viewports, making the scene feel somehow dreamlike. "What have you found?" Morrison asked, noting the tension in Sarah's posture. Sarah gestured at the holographic displays surrounding her workstation. The wave wasn't just destroying civilizations, it was studying them. Every encounter, every destruction, created quantum echoes that carried information back to its source. "We couldn't see it before because we were looking at it wrong. But now..." She manipulated the displays, showing complex patterns that her quantum-enhanced mind could now read like text. "It's all here, the history of every civilization, the wave encountered, preserved in quantum states at the moment of their destruction, including the ones who created it." Lizara moved closer to the displays, her crystalline form resonating with the quantum data. "The architects," she whispered. "We always wondered who they were, why they feared the advancement of younger races so much." "They didn't fear advancement," Sarah said softly. "They feared what they'd become, what they saw happening to other civilizations that reached the quantum threshold. Look at this pattern here." She isolated a particular quantum signature, letting it play out in four-dimensional space. The hologram showed a civilization's evolution, not just technological progress, but the transformation of consciousness itself as they mastered quantum engineering. "When a species reaches the quantum threshold, they don't just gain the ability to manipulate space-time," Sarah explained. "Their consciousness begins to evolve, to expand beyond normal space-time limitations." The architects saw this happening to themselves and to others, and they were terrified of losing their humanity, or whatever their equivalent was. So they created the wave to prevent other civilizations from following the same path, Morrison concluded, to enforce their view of what conscious life should be. Sarah shook her head. "No, for a conversation that will determine the future of conscious life in the galaxy." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The combined human-Mirian fleet repositioned itself around the transformed wave, while Sarah and a team of quantum-enhanced humans worked with Mirian engineers to establish communication protocols that could handle contact with a civilization that had transcended normal spacetime millions of years ago. "There's something else we need to discuss," Sarah said during a brief break, looking at Morrison and Lizara. "The quantum patterns show that the architect's fear wasn't entirely unfounded. When consciousness evolves beyond certain quantum thresholds, it can become disconnected from physical reality, from empathy, from the ability to understand limited beings. Like a human trying to empathize with a bacterial colony," Morrison suggested. "Exactly. The architects saw civilizations ascending to quantum godhood and losing touch with their original nature. They created the wave not just out of fear, but out of a desire to preserve something they saw as fundamentally valuable: the connection between consciousness and physical reality." Lizara's form shifted to deeper, more contemplative colors. "Yet you humans, with your chaotic minds and emotional intelligence, found a way to bridge that gap, to touch the quantum realm while remaining grounded in physical reality." "Not just us," Sarah smiled. "We did it together. Mirian precision gave us the tools, but human chaos kept us connected to our original nature. We found the balance the architects were looking for." Before anyone could respond, space itself seemed to shiver. The quantum aurora blazed with new light, and in its heart, something began to take shape. "They're here," Sarah whispered. The architects' arrival defied conventional physics. They emerged from quantum space like thoughts taking physical form, their bodies shifting between states of matter and energy. They were beautiful and terrifying, their forms suggesting both the species they had once been and the quantum entities they had become. Sarah stepped forward, her quantum-enhanced mind allowing her to perceive them more clearly than the others. In their shifting forms, she could see echoes of the same fear that had driven them to create the wave. The fear of losing touch with physical reality, with the fundamental experience of being alive. "We see you, children of chaos and order," the architect's thoughts manifested directly in their minds, carrying emotions and concepts that transcended normal language. "You have shown us what we long thought impossible." Sarah felt Morrison and Lysara move to stand beside her, representing their civilizations in this moment of judgment. But as she prepared to speak, she realized something crucial about the architect's presence. They weren't here to judge. They were here to learn. In their quantum-transcended forms, Sarah could see their longing, their desire to remember what it felt like to be limited, to be purely physical, to experience reality as younger races did. The wave hadn't just been a weapon or an experiment. It had been a cry for help from a civilization that had evolved beyond its ability to feel connected to the universe it inhabited. "We can show you another way," Sarah said, speaking both with words and quantum patterns. "A way to evolve without losing yourself, to touch the infinite while keeping your feet on the ground." The architect's forms shifted, showing interest and something else: hope. They had watched countless civilizations face the choice between destruction and transcendence. But humanity and the Myrians had found a third path, one that balanced chaos and order, physical and quantum, limitation and infinity. As the conversation began in earnest, Sarah felt the weight of history pressing around them. This wasn't just about saving civilizations from destruction anymore. It was about showing the architects, and themselves, that evolution didn't have to mean losing touch with what made them who they were. The quantum aurora continued to dance around them, its patterns now a symphony of human chaos, Myrian precision, and architect transcendence, each learning from the others, each finding new ways to exist in a universe far stranger and more beautiful than any of them had imagined. But even as they talked, Sarah could feel new quantum ripples spreading through space-time. The architects weren't the only ones watching. Other ancient races, other quantum civilizations that had hidden themselves away, were taking notice. The conversation they were about to have would change more than just 3 civilizations. It would reshape the very future of conscious life in the galaxy. The light between worlds. The quantum field surrounding the combined fleet rippled with possibilities. Sarah stood on the bridge of the ESS Hawking, her enhanced mind processing layers of reality that would have been incomprehensible to her just days ago. Around her, representatives from 3 civilizations, human, Myrian, and architect, prepared to attempt something unprecedented in the history of the galaxy. "Are you certain about this?" Captain Morrison asked, her voice carrying the weight of responsibility for not just her crew, but potentially all of humanity. "Once we begin, there's no going back." Sarah looked at her hands, watching quantum possibilities dance between her fingers. The Myrian knowledge had changed her, changed all the humans who had interfaced with it. But unlike the architect's fears, they hadn't lost their humanity. They'd expanded it. "We have to try," she said. "The architects showed us what happens when you try to prevent evolution." The wave was their attempt to save consciousness from transcendence, but all they did was freeze it in place. There has to be a middle path. Ambassador Lysara's crystalline form shimmered with complex emotions. "My people sought perfection in quantum engineering, thinking it would save us. We never considered that imperfection might be its own form of perfection." The architect representative, who had taken a semi-physical form they called the interface, spoke in patterns of quantum resonance that Sarah's enhanced mind could now understand. "For millions of years, we watched civilizations reach the quantum threshold and lose themselves in transcendence. We thought we were preserving consciousness by preventing this evolution. We were wrong." Sarah moved to the quantum interface at the center of the bridge. The device had been modified with technology from all three civilizations: human intuition, Mirian precision, and architect transcendence working in harmony. "Eye," she called to the ship's eye. "Begin the quantum alignment sequence." Around the fleet, space itself began to change. The quantum aurora left behind by the transformed wave provided the energy they needed, while the combined knowledge of three civilizations provided the understanding. They weren't just going to communicate across the barriers of evolution. They were going to break those barriers down entirely. "All ships reporting ready," Morrison announced. "The Mirian crystal cities are in position. Architect quantum matrices are aligned." Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. What they were about to attempt would either open a new chapter in the evolution of consciousness or prove the architect's ancient fears correct. "Begin the convergence," she ordered. The quantum interface hummed to life, connecting not just minds but states of being. Human consciousness, with its beautiful chaos and emotional depth. Mirian consciousness, precise and crystalline in its perfection. And architect consciousness, transcendent and vast, yet longing for the connection it had lost. Through her enhanced perception, Sarah could see it happening. The quantum field around them wasn't just a means of communication. It was becoming a new kind of space, one where different forms of consciousness could meet as equals. "Something's happening," Morrison reported, her voice filled with wonder. "The quantum readings. I've never seen anything like this." Sarah could see it too. The barriers between states of evolution weren't breaking down. They were transforming into bridges. In the quantum space they had created, a human could understand an architect's transcendent perspective while maintaining their own grounded consciousness. A Mirian could experience human chaos without losing their precise nature. And an architect could remember what it meant to be limited, to be purely physical, to feel the universe as younger races did. This is what we were afraid of losing. The interface's quantum patterns carried emotions that had been lost to them for millions of years. The beauty of limitation, the joy of discovery, the wonder of not knowing everything. But even as they celebrated this breakthrough, Sarah felt something else stirring in the quantum field. Other presences, ancient and powerful, were taking notice. "We're being watched," she announced. "Other quantum civilizations, ones that have been hiding from the wave. They're curious about what we've created." The quantum space around them blazed with new energy as more consciousnesses joined the convergence. Civilizations that had hidden themselves away, feared to advance, or lost themselves in transcendence, all were drawn to this new possibility. "Welcome them," Sarah said, her voice carrying through quantum space. "This isn't just for us. This is for all conscious life in the galaxy." But even as they celebrated this breakthrough, Sarah felt something else stirring in the quantum field. Other presences, ancient and powerful, were taking notice. "We're being watched," she announced. "Other quantum civilizations, ones that have been hiding from the wave. They're curious about what we've created." The quantum space around them blazed with new energy as more consciousnesses joined the convergence. Civilizations that had hidden themselves away, feared to advance, or lost themselves in transcendence, all were drawn to this new possibility. "Welcome them," Sarah said, her voice carrying through quantum space. "This isn't just for us. This is for all conscious life in the galaxy." The next few hours were beyond description in normal human terms. In the quantum convergence space, civilizations shared their stories, their fears, their hopes. Some had hidden from the wave for millions of years. Others had deliberately stalled their development, afraid of losing themselves. Still others had transcended but regretted the loss of their original perspective. In their combined wisdom, a new understanding began to emerge. Consciousness wasn't meant to be static, frozen in place by fear of change. But neither was it meant to transcend completely, losing touch with its origins. The true path of evolution was cyclical, advancing while maintaining connection, growing while remembering, reaching for the infinite while cherishing the finite. "Look," Morrison whispered, pointing to the main viewport. The quantum aurora had changed again. Where before it had been beautiful but chaotic, Now it moved with purpose. Patterns of energy formed and reformed, creating structures that existed in multiple states simultaneously. It wasn't just a phenomenon anymore. It was becoming a place, a meeting ground between states of evolution. The wave was never meant to be a weapon. The interface revealed its quantum patterns carrying ancient sorrow and new hope. It was meant to be this, a bridge between states of consciousness. We forgot its true purpose in our fear. Sarah understood. The architects hadn't created the wave to destroy advanced civilizations. They had created it to prevent the isolation of transcendence. But fear had corrupted their creation, turning a bridge into a barrier. Then let's remind it, she said. Let's remind everyone. Working together, the combined civilizations began to reshape the quantum space around them. The aurora responded, its energies transforming into something entirely new. Not a weapon, not a barrier, but a medium where all forms of consciousness could meet and learn from each other. The Marian crystal cities began to pulse with new light, their quantum technology adapting to serve as anchors for this new space. Human ships, their systems enhanced by the combination of all three civilizations' knowledge, created stability in the chaos. And the architects, their transcendent forms now able to shift between states of consciousness, provided the understanding needed to make it permanent. We're getting quantum signals from across the galaxy, Araya reported. Other civilizations are responding to what we've created. They want to join. Sarah smiled, feeling the joy of discovery that had drawn her to space in the first place. Then let's make room for everyone. Over the next few days, as more civilizations joined the convergence, something remarkable happened. The fear that had driven the creation of the wave, the isolation that had haunted transcendent civilizations, the stagnation that had trapped others, all began to dissolve in the face of this new possibility. Young civilizations could learn from the advanced without fear of losing themselves. Transcendent beings could remember the beauty of limitation, and those in between could see the path ahead more clearly, understanding that evolution didn't have to mean loss. Standing on the bridge of the ESS Hawking, watching civilizations come together in ways she had never imagined possible, Sarah felt a deep sense of rightness. This was why humanity had come to the stars. Not just to explore, not just to survive, but to help create something new. What do we call it? Morrison asked, looking at the transformed aurora that now served as a meeting place for civilizations across all stages of evolution. The light between worlds, Sarah said softly, because that's what it is. Not a barrier, not a weapon, but a light that connects us all, no matter how far we evolve. Ambassador Lysara's form shimmered with joy. My people sought perfection in isolation. We never understood that true perfection comes from connection. The interface's quantum patterns carried agreement, and we sought to prevent transcendence, never realizing that true transcendence means being able to touch all states of being, not just the highest.